Je suis en Afrique du Sud. Dans un instant, je vais ouvrir les yeux et Bruce sera en face de moi. Bruce, bonjour, bienvenue en Afrique du Sud. J'ai envie de vous demander quelle a été votre première sensation en posant le pied sur le sol sud-africain il y a 2 jours.
Well, I guess I remember being here 25 years ago in Zimbabwe. And you're always a little apprehensive when you're someplace you haven't been. Don't know how your music's going to be received and all that. I'd gotten some letters from some South African musicians to think about coming down, and it's exciting to be back and looking forward to it.
Nelson Mandela.
Good evening, South Africa!
Nelson Mandela.
Hello, Cape Town!
Nelson Mandela.
So glad to be in your beautiful city!
Nelson Mandela.
Alors, il y a 30 ans, vous faisiez partie du mouvement des artistes qui prônaient le boycott de l'Afrique du Sud. On se souvient notamment de cette chanson Sun City de Steve Van Zandt, à laquelle vous aviez participé. Est-ce que vous vous disiez à l'époque qu'un jour vous finiriez par venir jouer en Afrique du Sud?
I guess you go because you can imagine that. But you can't imagine how it might occur, you know? South Africa has transitioned in a way that really was quite miraculous. You know, like I said, the only stranger thing than having an African-American president of the United States would be having an African president who spent 27 years in prison, then came out, and then was elected president. Think about that in the U.S. You know, it's like, so it's an enormous and amazing transition, you know. Tremendous credit to the country itself and to Mandela's leadership. You know, it would have been easy to be vengeful or angry, and to contextualize all those things within yourself. Very, very unusual spirit, you know. So it's nice to be able to come to sort of, we're reaping some of the sweet benefits of his grace in a certain sense, you know, so it's nice.
Est-ce qu'aujourd'hui encore, jouer pour la première fois dans un pays reste un défi pour vous?
Yeah, we're always looking for, how am I going to connect to this audience? Who are they? I don't know who they are yet. You know, they don't really know who I am, you know. So you can ask them to stop doing that if you want, you know.
System.
It's just general. Somebody's tuning up. But yeah, you're meeting somebody for the first time, like anything else. So there's the normal sort of anxiety and courtship, and you want to be at your best and all of the above. It's going to be very hot and sweaty in there tonight.
27 years in captivity. Shoes too small to fit his feet. His body abused, but his mind still free. You so blind that you cannot see. I said free.
Nelson Mandela.
Dans le discours qu'il a prononcé à ses obsèques, Obama a cité Mandela, notamment cette phrase « Je ne suis pas un saint, à moins qu'un saint ne soit un pécheur qui fait du mieux qu'il peut ». Ça pourrait être une phrase d'une de vos chansons, non?
Well, I guess that's everybody. It's certainly me, I suppose. You know, and you know, those are the pretty broad terms. You know, I think we're all. My music and what I do on stage is usually the best of myself. You know, and the rest of the day you're. You know, it's confused, struggling along like everybody else. So I'm sure that was sort of what he was getting to, you know. It's like your higher self steps forward very often in art, and it's nice when that can happen in politics or in relationships anywhere, you know. And of course, we don't have as much access to it as often as we'd like, you know. And I think there's the struggle to keep that on the high side, you know, so.
À propos d'Obama, vous êtes toujours copain avec lui ou bien?
Yes, it's not like you know, we're not watching TV together on Sunday night. You know, mainly my feelings about these things is I I don't go into any of these things looking for any sort of personal relationship. You know, I'm there to promote the ideas that are on the table. And I thought that his were important to you know, and that he was going to be important to be elected. You know, I think the health care thing, once it's straightened out, and is going to make a huge difference. It's not perfect. Could have been. I'd like to have seen it done in a lot of different ways, but it will greatly enhance the lives of a lot of people who have suffered previously. Same thing with financial regulation. You know, these are all things that should, at the end of the day, fall better for people who don't always get the best break under the system we're running over there, you know. A lot of things to be desired, of course. Guantanamo's still open. I thought that would have been closed. You know, a lot of different issues in foreign policy, perhaps. But at the end of the day, it was something you know, I was glad to do, and you know, I take it a call at a time, you know. See.
Tout à l'heure, vous allez vous présenter devant des milliers de spectateurs, courir l'équivalent d'un demi-marathon, chanter à n'en plus pouvoir. Je voudrais savoir dans quel état d'esprit vous êtes quelques heures avant le concert.
I'm pretty quiet. I'm quiet now because I'm going to make a lot of noise in a minute. So it's sort of like you're like a tick. The idea is your little time bomb goes tick, 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 and then you set it. You gauge the evening right, so it's boom. But before then, no. It's just that I'm sort of meditative.
Est-ce qu'un de ces jours, vous pourriez publier un livre où vous donneriez des conseils pour vous maintenir en forme? Ça m'intéresserait, moi.
We'll do a commercial together on French television. Ladies and gentlemen, you may remember me. I used to put music out once in a while. But let me tell you, besides putting that music out, I had to stay in really good shape. And here, that's it. We have a plan for when my music career is done.
Même sensation, mais posée autrement. Tout à l'heure, vous allez vous retrouver devant un public en adoration devant vous. Est-ce que ça vous fait toujours le même effet, ou bien c'est une sensation qui s'émousse avec le temps?
No, because it's new, you know. It's like somebody saying, "Hey, does falling in love ever get old?" Of course not. The French should know that. Of course not. You know, it never gets old. You know, and it's like that. You know, it's like you come out and you fall in love every night in some way. When you're doing it right, it's a rebirth. You know, it's not a repetition. It's a renewal. So that involves, you know, something happening every night for the first time. And amazingly enough, it's sort of like your first kiss, in that there's something in playing that's like that. There are thousands of other times. But still, when you come out, there's some element of the first time that is very, very present. And it keeps you very focused and present. And that's what people feel, you know. So the inner dynamics of it are very, very, very unusual if done with a certain state of mind, you know. It really is like, it's new every night. It's hard to explain, but it really comes to life uniquely on a nightly basis. There's no two nights that have ever the same.
Je vous ai vu dans le show de Jimmy Fallon il y a quelques semaines. Est-ce que vous prenez vraiment du plaisir à vous moquer de vous-même comme ça, à faire ce petit pas de côté, cette petite distance d'ironie?
What can you do, you know? It's sort of, we started a few shows back when I think it was his idea, hey man, how about I'll be Neil Young and I'll be Bruce. You know? And if we can come up with a good idea every time, we almost didn't do it this time. And I said, hey, look, I tell you what, I'm going to write a parody of Born to Run to sort of this thing that had happened in New Jersey. And it was fun. It's fun to do. He's infectious. He gets you going.
D'ailleurs, à ce propos, est-ce que les sketchs de Ben Stiller où il apprend à compter comme Bruce vous ont amusé?
I haven't seen that in a while, but he's pretty good.
Counting with Bruce Springsteen.
All right. Happens to everybody if you've been around long enough, you know. It's and a part of what you do is caricature. If you've had a long life, you know, it's a part of it is. I look back on certain moments, and iconic things are very, very close to parody. Always, always. That's why they're powerful. They're just a thin line away from being that one step that makes it completely ridiculous instead of a little bit ridiculous, you know? So there's always a little bit of absurdity. There's always an absurdity in fame, period, you know? And in who you are and what you're doing. There's always some silliness to it and some silly aspect of it. You gotta learn to live with it, you know? And, but things that are very, very iconic are also very, very close to complete caricature. Always, always like that. That's why they're so easily parodied.
Je voudrais savoir pourquoi vous avez intitulé votre nouvel album High Hopes, de grandes espérances.
It just seemed like a good title, you know? It had some optimism to it, had a tough sort of optimism to it, which is kind of what we do, you know, as part of our band. And then it was just a cut that seemed to stand a little bit heads up. And it was a pretty easy decision. Didn't think of much else.
Quels ont été les critères de sélection des chansons? Parce qu'il y a des vieilles chansons, des chansons que vous n'aviez pas enregistrées en album. Comment vous avez assemblé tout ça?
Had a group of songs from I'd been gathering that I was fond of and looked for a home for them, a way to put them out. They didn't quite congeal into something. Tom came along. His influence and his guitar kind of sonically melded them in a way that made us sound different than we sounded before, and also made it sound like a record, you know? And then, you know, a few lucky accidents, the recording session in Sydney, and suddenly something appears, so.
Tom Morello fait partie du groupe maintenant, en tous les cas sur cette tournée-là. Qu'est-ce qu'il apporte au son du Street Band?
He certainly brings something sonically in a place that we don't. Yeah. We haven't. He kind of builds another room on it sonically. He's just a very visionary guitarist. So he just kind of freshens everything up, brings a lot. He's an exciting personality. Also, once he's smart, committed, you know, is politically very aware. A lot of ideas, a lot of creativity, a lot of energy. Brings a little of the punk thing, the hard rock thing into what we do. So it just gives us a little more grit and a harder edge.
Il y a une très belle version de 41 Shots, une chanson que vous aviez écrite en 99 à la suite d'une bavure policière à New York. Est-ce que vous pensez que la situation s'est améliorée du point de vue du racisme, en dépit de nouvelles bavures comme celle récemment avec Trayvon Martin en Floride?
It's very tricky. We have a lot of very dumb gun laws in a lot of places. You know, the stand your ground laws, I don't understand them completely. So we've got a lot of problems in that area. You know, it's part of the paranoid strain of American life, you know, which is a big part of, unfortunately, of the makeup of who we are over there. And things have improved greatly since the 60s, of course, you know. I mean, we have an African-American president. There's lots of things that are no longer an issue, but there's this particular area, you know, where there's consistently these sort of mistaken shootings and a big problem. It's become a big problem.
Alors ce soir, comme toujours dans vos concerts, les gens vont brandir des panneaux avec des titres de chansons. Puisqu'on est en Afrique du Sud, vous allez être obligé de reprendre du Rodriguez?
Don't have any Cisco Rodriguez, no. Though I probably should have. you know.
Vous avez vu le documentaire d'ailleurs, ça vous a plu l'histoire de Rodriguez? Oui.
Yeah, it's quite a tale, man.
Yeah.
It's very unusual in this day and age.
Yeah.
You know, to go undiscovered these days, not that easy.
Ok, Bruce. Les high hopes, les grandes espérances des fans français, c'est évidemment de savoir quand vous allez revenir jouer. Donc, s'il vous plaît, je vous en supplie, dites-le moi. Merci.
Don't know, you know. Like I say, it's like I was telling folks out front, I says, how can I miss you if you won't go away? You know, we don't want to come back so soon that people are tired of us. But we'll get back eventually. We had some great shows there last time. The Paris show was probably the biggest and best we'd ever had. It was just fabulous. And we've just got a great audience there now. And let's look forward to getting back. We don't have plans yet, but we don't plan to take too much time off these days. We like to play, and so hopefully sooner than later, you know?
All right.
Yeah. Thank you, Antoine.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks, Ed.
See you soon.